Hello and welcome to episode 63 of the All Things Leeds podcast. Another episode from lockdown. I'm Ed McIntyre and joining me still is my co-host Charles Foster. Charles, hello.
Hello, mate. You all right?
Yeah, you?
Yeah, I'm sound. Been out biking today, so I'm in a bit of a better mood.
Ah, nice. Yeah, I've been out quite a lot this week as well because it's been gorgeous weather. So it's been not really any excuse to stay in. Work that I've had to do, I've just got my laptop and took it out into the garden. It's been lovely weather, so I've been outside quite a lot. It's been quite nice. So I'm doing all right now in lockdown and self-isolation. I'm doing all right now.
Good.
Of course, though, before we move into anything at all, I do want to send our thoughts and prayers to the family and friends of Leeds United and England legend Norman Hunter, who has sadly passed away at the age of 76. He was being treated in hospital after contracting the coronavirus, and he unfortunately lost his battle. We've lost just a true footballing legend, Charles.
Yeah, obviously part of that brilliant Leeds United side of the 1960s and 70s. Capped capped 28 times for England. So he was also part of the World Cup winning squad. So an extremely good defender, well regarded by everyone of that era and every fan of that era, and obviously even now. Obviously, he's got his suite Elland Road. I've never met him, but apparently a very warm bloke, very nice to speak to. Very, very pleasant and got endless amounts of time for fans. So yeah, it is a big loss, especially for anyone connected with Leeds United, player or fan or owner, and we'll all be feeling it today.
Yeah, it's a very big loss, of course. Norman Hunter was at Leeds United from 1962 to 1976, 14 years at the club. He made 726 appearances, won 2 First Division titles, won the FA Cup trophy, won League Cup trophy, 2 Fairs Cups, and of course he won the 1966 World Cup with England. He's one of the best defenders to ever play football, and of course he earned the nickname "Bite Your Legs." Which, he was a very tough player on the field, of course, defender. A very, very tough player. But as you say, he's one of the nicest blokes you'll ever meet. So I met him a few times up in the gantry at Elland Road, and also, outside of Elland Road as well. I'm very fortunate to have met him a few times. I say I'm lucky to meet quite a lot of people, but I'm generally very, very fortunate to have met Norman Hunter because, of course, he's a footballing legend and he's such a nice guy, one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. He'll remember you as well. So the first game of the season against Nottingham Forest, I was up in the gantry and I was speaking to him, not for too long, but the next home game I was up there in the gantry and he was there. He recognised me, so he remembered me. So he's such a nice bloke, got so much time for everyone. And it was a fantastic character because up on the gantry, of course, big thanks to LS11 for letting me go up there a few times this season. So at the beginning of the season, he was sat right near us, and you could see and hear everything that he was doing. And of course, that first home game of the season against Nottingham Forest, that 1-1 draw. We were okay. We weren't fantastic, and every time we made a mistake, he'd bang the desk, he'd be shouting and saying all kinds of stuff that I can't really repeat on my podcast. So, it was absolutely fantastic. He's such a nice guy, a true legend on the pitch and also off the pitch. So yeah, Norman Hunter, he will definitely be sadly missed. It seems to have affected a lot of people, even people who didn't meet him. It's affected a lot of the Leeds United family and the football family as well. So he will be sadly missed. And as I say, thoughts and prayers out to his friends and family. And I think that this is a perfect time to just remind everyone, please follow the advice, follow the guidelines, for the laws, for whatever. Follow all the advice. Stay at home as much as you can to save lives, save the NHS, and stop the spread of coronavirus. Just do all you can. Of course, many thanks to all NHS staff and all key workers out there for continuing your fantastic work. And of course, as we keep on mentioning, this period will affect a lot of people's mental health. So if you are struggling through this time, then please do feel free to contact me or Charles. Yeah, so as I said, a big thank you to all NHS and key workers out there during this time. We're recording this on a Friday, so last night I was out clapping for the NHS. Were you doing that, Charles?
No, I think I was busy yesterday evening. I think I was sorting something out in the house and I was repairing something. I don't know what my dad. I can't remember what it was. I think it was the opening with the boiler or the radiator or something like that. Something
Fair enough.
we needed to fix anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah, I always just tweet any positive things towards the NHS. I'm a huge fan of it, without getting into any political arguments. I'm a huge fan of the NHS. So yeah, I'll always support them, and they are doing a fantastic job at the moment, and they deserve to be appreciated for that job.
Yeah, 100%. I have seen a few videos though online of, especially in London, just a lot of people gathering at this one place, like on a bridge or something. Yeah, clapping for the NHS is fantastic, but people aren't obeying social distancing laws out there. You know, even police, they're going to these ginormous gatherings and people are, packed together just clapping on video. You know, for God's sake, social distancing, guys. Yeah, clap for the NHS, but just do it at home. Don't gather in a public place because that's just stupid. You're doing more harm than good there. So
No,
that's been frustrating.
You're clearly just transmitting the virus doing stupid stuff like that. I don't know why people would do that. The whole point of it is to appreciate them. If you're not really appreciating them, if you're creating more work for them, are you?
Yeah, exactly. It's really, really frustrating me, all these people who aren't following the advice. So, yes, please, guys, follow the advice because the more people who do it, then the sooner we are out of this mess. But of course, Leeds United have been releasing videos every week of past and present players clapping for the NHS. And the video last Thursday included Mark Viduka, Luciano Becchio, Big Kev, Jean-Kevin Augustin, and you also had David Batty in there. I was not expecting to see David Batty in there.
Well, he's a bit reclusive, isn't he, as a figure after his football career? So yeah, it was nice to see Bats. It's a good bit of video of him as well. A bit of a rare smile on his face because he's not really well known for smiling much. Is Batty.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see him smile. Yeah. Very much a player of my dad's era. He's probably one of my dad's favourite ever players. So yeah, it was nice to see him, especially supporting something as important as the NHS on video for the club.
And it's good to see that David Batty's actually, still around and still in contact because he seems to, as soon as his football career was up, he just seemed to have fallen off the face of the earth. No one had really heard of him. Of course, all these centenary celebrations last season, David Batty didn't go to any. he just didn't like it.
I think Vinnie Jones tried to convince him to go, but he just said he wasn't. He didn't want to go. He obviously appreciates what the club and or what they did for him, but he doesn't consider himself a football player anymore. He considers his job done. He wants to live his life with his family and his kids. He lives out on the East Coast. I think he spends a lot of his time in like Scarborough and Whitby and that, walking his dog on the beach. I think he's quite happy. I think he's quite happy and spending time with his kids. I think he's quite happy doing stuff like that. So
yeah, I think he's a bit of an introvert, isn't he?
Yeah, fair play to him. If that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, and it's interesting because every time you speak to David Batty's teammates, they'll always tell you David Batty is a fantastic player, but he never liked football. Like he was never a fan of football. He liked his golf, he liked his fishing, but he never liked football.
Some people don't. It's just a job.
Yeah.
Some people. But it was a good footballer. I mean,
Imagine playing football at his standard. Imagine playing football at his standard and not enjoying football, watching football. It's bizarre.
I think he enjoyed his time at the club, and his time he spent with his friends and his teammates, and in the kind of family aspect of the club when we won the league in '92, obviously, and getting promoted in '89-90. I think he enjoyed the kind of atmosphere around it more than he actually enjoyed playing it. Obviously, it's still one of his best achievements, and I'm sure he's still very proud of it. But I think he enjoyed being around the club more than he enjoyed the playing aspect.
Yeah, but definitely. Yeah, but definitely a good video. Good to see David Batty getting involved as well. But yeah, Charles, I think this is week 3 or week 4 of lockdown now, of self-isolation. How are you doing?
Yeah, fine. I'm all right. I mean, I would like to go out to see my mates more and go to the pub and all the things that you miss when you're stuck in the house most hours of the day. But I'm doing more exercise, which is probably good for me. I'm eating a bit more regularly. I need to sort my sleeping pattern out though, because my sleep pattern is even more ruined than usual because Ed knows my sleeping pattern. It's bad.
Oh yeah,
I'm up
yeah,
very late
definitely.
and I don't wake up until very late in the morning.
Yeah, you don't like getting up
So
early,
I do need to resolve that slightly. No, I'm not a morning person. I don't really see the point in mornings. But yeah, once I resolve my sleeping pattern, I'll be fine. I'll be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to sort my sleeping pattern out. It's just getting up and getting dressed as well, because you wake up and you realise I'm not going anywhere today. So what's the point in getting dressed? Might as well just lounge around in my dressing gown or whatever. But no, I think
always
it's
feel a
good to
bit better.
actually. What?
So saying, sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say, I always feel a bit better once I've had a shower and brushed my teeth.
Oh
And,
yeah.
rather than just if you stay in your pajamas all day, you feel a bit kind of dirty by the evening. You feel a bit kind of a bit wrong.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot more exercise as well, just walking out and, sorting out my eating as well. But of course, Easter last weekend, did you have a good Easter weekend?
Yeah, as a kind of former Catholic, it's not particularly a holiday I enjoy much because I had to spend a lot of time in church when I was in school. So
Yeah,
I tend to give it a bit of a miss.
fair enough.
But for the most part, I didn't actually eat meat on Good Friday though, which not intentionally. I just didn't. And then my brother went for Easter eggs in the garden. Obviously the Easter bunny had left, so that was nice to see him running about in the garden and finding them. But other than that, didn't really do much.
I just enjoyed eating Easter eggs, to be honest. I only got one, but I enjoyed that.
I'm not a big chocolate fan myself. I don't
Yeah,
really eat much sweet stuff, so it's not really for me.
fair enough.
It's
Fair
one of
enough.
the only vices I don't have is not eating sweet stuff.
So what have you been up to?
Stops
Then
from being the size of a house.
have you been up to anything new during self isolation and lockdown?
Not really. I mean, I read the Square Ball Winter Special I've been putting off in for a while.
Yeah.
Because I wanted something new to read, and I thought, well, that's about 150 pages long. I can probably do that in an evening. And I did do it in an evening. I really enjoyed it. And I also bought myself a digital subscription because I didn't get a copy of the latest issue. So yeah, I've just been reading that. Obviously, keeping up with all the other podcasts which I'm subscribed to, which I won't announce now because I don't want to give them a free plug. But including our own. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I haven't really been doing anything new. What about yourself?
Yeah, well, just doing podcasts, listening to podcasts while I'm, while I'm doing cleaning up and whatever, because podcasts are probably the most frictionless piece of content to absorb. Really, video, you need to sit down and watch a video. A blog, you need to sit down and read it. With podcasts, you can just stick it on and do whatever. Really, I've finished The Office now. all 9 seasons of The Office USA. I've finished watching that. Something Until I Die season 2. I've finished that as well. So, I need to find new stuff to do because I've read all my Leeds United books and stuff and all the Square Balls that I have. I might just start reading old programs. Just old Leeds United programs that I have lying about. I might just start reading them.
To get your fix.
Yeah, to get my fix, definitely.
It's a bit hard. I do miss the club a bit.
Yeah, I miss football. The other day, I just went to Elland Road and just sat there and just looked at it.
Of course you did. I don't drive, so I ain't got that opportunity.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I don't live too far away from Elland Road, so I can easily do that. Yeah.
Whereas I live absolutely miles from Elland Road.
Yeah. I am missing a lot of stuff now. I desperately need a haircut. Like, my hair's getting too long. I hate it being this long.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
Mine probably needs doing more than yours does.
Fair enough. I mean, we bought some barber's clippers.
My dad used them.
My dad used the barber's clippers already, so I might have to use them. As a kid, I always went blade 2 all over, so I might just do that because that looked alright. So, I might just do that again.
You look like a right skinhead.
Definitely. I've also been enjoying watching some Belarusian football as that league's still going strong.
I mean, I don't have Sky anyway or BT, but I wouldn't watch it anyway because that's out of protest. But what a stupid idea it is to still be on.
No, it's not on Sky or BT. I'm just finding streams.
You're streaming Belarusian football.
Yes, I am indeed.
Oh God. Brilliant.
So yeah, moving on. Of course, there's plenty has gone on Leeds United's social media pages. The FIFA simulation streams, they've kept on going. Last Friday, Easter Friday, it was a 3-1 win over Stoke City on FIFA, and 20,200 people watched that. And on Easter Monday, it was a 3-2 win away at Swansea City on FIFA, and 33,800 people watched that as well. So a lot of people watching these FIFA streams, and I've just come to the conclusion that Leeds United are really damn good on FIFA 20.
Either that or whoever's playing it for Leeds is very good at FIFA.
No, well, these are just simulations. No one's playing
possible.
it. It's just you've gone.
Oh,
you haven't selected a side of anything. You just simulating it.
Plus, we're on good form at the moment, so that would probably get taken into account.
Yeah, I mean,
in real life,
yeah, EA, of course, who make FIFA, they just seem to love us, really. And again, if only it was real life, because that would have made it 11 wins in a row and 12 games unbeaten, which is just surreal. If only we were actually witnessing that, because that would have been incredible.
Plus, it would have been promoted much quicker.
Would have been promoted by now, to be honest.
Yeah, it would have been already up.
Yeah, I just
nice.
Yeah, I just miss Leeds United, miss football, miss Elland Road. I just miss it all. I miss it all. You know, for the clap for the NHS stuff, when I'm out on my doorstep clapping, I can't help it but try to start singing Leeds United chants. I just want to desperately. Just want to start singing "We Are Leeds" and "We All Love Leeds" while I'm clapping.
I'm sure we'll be back at Elland Road soon.
Yeah, hopefully. Someone who is quite clearly quite average at FIFA 20. Leeds United striker Patrick Bamford, the 26-year-old, was chosen to play as Leeds United in this Stay into Toto, I think is how you pronounce it, this Stay into Toto Cup, which is a fun FIFA tournament that many football clubs have launched online, where they choose a player from their club to represent them on FIFA in a big FIFA tournament. Bamford was chosen for Leeds United. He was in Group H with Northampton, Charlton, and PAOK, and he went out in the group stages. So he's obviously a terrible FIFA player.
Yeah, I think Johnny Williams was playing for Charlton and scored a last-minute equaliser against Leeds, which knocked Bamford out, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean this. I think Northampton won the group, so whoever's playing as Northampton, he must be really damn good, because Northampton are probably dreadful on FIFA, and Leeds United should be 10 times better.
Good representative.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, clearly had some professional help there.
So Leeds United, they have also posted a video this week of Jean-Kevin Augustin working out at home. Good to see that he's keeping fit. I mean, Charles, he looks great, doesn't he?
He looks too skinny. He looks a bit ill. I'm not sure whether that's the Bielsa diet or the amount of exercise he's doing. He looks like he needs some food. I remember, obviously, Luke Ayling was saying the thing he misses most about the pre-Bielsa regime was food. I think Augustin's going to be feeling the same.
I mean, all players at Leeds United, they look painfully thin. Like, they look ill, all of them.
I mean, Stuart Dallas doesn't. He still looks like more or less like he used to do.
Yeah, it'd be great to see some before and after pictures.
Yeah, someone's got to do them at some point. I just want to see like Bamford looking like, looking a bit overweight at Borough to like looking like lean and mean at Leeds.
Pre-Bielsa and post-Bielsa.
Yeah, I'd love to see like just the images of that. Would be funny.
Yeah.
Like
so
Stuart Dallas in the 15-16 season. I said Stuart Dallas from the 15-16 season to Stuart Dallas the 18-19 season, the under 19-20 season. The comparison will be hilarious.
I mean, of course, we may or may not see Kevin Augustine play for Leeds United. Of course, it's depending on what happens with football and this season. But hopefully we do get to see him play, because of course he is only a loan player. There is that option to buy, but we don't know what's going to happen with football and with this season. So hopefully we do get to see him play, though. But I mean, this video of him keeping fit, it's got me excited to see him play, really, because he's obviously got down and worked hard.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we are lined up to spend quite a lot of money on him. You would hope that he would help us in the last 9 games and make the impact we need him to make in order to get us up, score a couple of goals, maybe if we're lucky. So yeah, I'm pleased to see that he's working hard. He's clearly buying into the regime, and has lost a ridiculous amount of weight. I just hope he's not cost himself any strength in the urgency to lose a bit of weight.
But yeah, hopefully we do get to see him play. And Leeds United this week, they've also done a Q&A with Gianni Alioski on social media, which was very interesting indeed, Charles.
Yeah, he's a very interesting character in general, is Alioski. So
yeah,
the odd times he does get interviewed, you're always kind of a bit curious as to what he's going to say and whether or not it's going to get him into any trouble. So yeah, his interview was quite good. He's just quite a strange individual, isn't he? I mean, his teammates can't really figure him out. We can't really figure him out, and yet he gets painted as kind of a bit of a kind of class clown and a bit, a bit silly. But he seems to be quite an intelligent bloke.
Oh yeah,
he seems to have a bit of a kind of eccentric streak.
Yeah, he does seem to be a very intelligent guy. But running through the Q&A then, so Leeds United, of course, did an article on it for those people who just don't understand what Gianni Alioski says half the time. So the first question was, how are you coping being locked up in the house all day? And he says it's not easy, but at this time, everybody has everything they need at home. You can always find something to do, like go on the PlayStation or watch films on Netflix. He also says some read books, but not me. Not me, though. He's not a fan of books, Gianni Alioski.
Nah, fair play to him, some aren't.
And as a kid, he supported Real Madrid. That was his team, and his idol was Roberto Carlos, which is interesting. Of course, he's a left-sided player. Roberto Carlos, one of the best left-backs to ever play football. So yeah, that's very interesting. You can tell why Roberto Carlos was his favorite player, his idol. He also said how many languages he can speak, and he said it's 5 or 6 languages: German, Italian, English, Albanian, Macedonian, French, and a little bit of Spanish. So that's not 5 or 6; that's 6, and then maybe a 7th language.
Well, I mean, it depends how good his grasp of Spanish is. It could be 6, in which case he would still be right.
Yeah, I mean,
even 6 is 5 more than I can speak.
Yeah, I mean, I could say that I can speak 3 languages or 4 languages. I can speak English. I can speak Spanish. I can say hola and count to 10 in Spanish.
No, I think we're talking about fluent languages here, not you randomly looking up words in a phrase book while you're on holiday.
Yeah, but I mean, many languages Gianni Alioski says that he speaks. So I mean, we always say, he's a mad bastard, but he's clearly very intelligent. Learning all these languages, which is great.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's probably quite essential for someone from a Eastern European country who obviously has to move countries to play in different leagues, and obviously settle down. If you're settling down in France or Germany or Spain, then you do need to learn the language. And obviously, if he didn't have such a good grasp of English, he would struggle here as well. So, and his grasp of English is good. It's not his choice of words. I think it's more his accent. Is sometimes I find slightly difficult to understand. His choice of words is usually fine. So yeah, he is obviously very, very fluent in English. So yeah, it's a good life skill. I wish I could speak 6 languages. It would make going abroad a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I really wish happened at school. I wish that schools pushed languages a lot more, because I didn't really take them seriously. But I wish that they told you, languages are very important. I wish I could speak another language. It'd be amazing.
I was terrible at languages in school, and therefore I didn't like the subject at all, so I hated it. So I never put any effort into it, which I wish
Yeah,
I had done in hindsight.
yeah. I mean, I was
It was
terrible,
one
so
of
that's
my
why I
only
didn't
two
really.
GCSEs. It was one of two GCSEs that I failed. That and art.
No, I didn't do languages at GCSE. We had the option not to do any languages at GCSE, so I didn't do them because I was terrible. So I didn't really take them seriously either. But I wish schools really did knuckle down on languages because now I really do wish that I did speak Spanish or German. I was really good at German at one point, but now I've just forgot everything, to be honest. Alioski was also asked about his favourite moment of his career. He says everybody has good moments, but the best one for him is promotion, which is still to come, he says. So he's optimistic, is Gianni Alioski, very optimistic. I like it. He also says favourite game for Leeds United. He says we've had a lot of nice games, but when we won 3-2 against Aston Villa, of course, away last season, he said that was beautiful. And then the 4-0 win at home against West Brom last season. It's a crazy game. And yeah, everyone will remember that game. I certainly do. It's made my list later on. Bit of a sneak
Spoilers.
peek. Spoilers. He says, what's your favourite Leeds United goal you've scored? He says the first one against Nottingham Forest away in 2017, which was a fantastic goal as well, by the way. Brilliant goal.
Yeah. Kind of curled left foot bottom corner on it.
Yeah,
right
fantastic finish.
Fans. Remember that goal, yeah.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It says, who's the best player you've played with? He said there's a few, but he says Pablo Hernandez. Which I don't obviously because he hasn't really played for major teams in his career apart from Leeds United. So yeah, you can see that. It says best player you played against. He said Sergio Ramos, which was interesting. I wasn't expecting that.
I don't know who. I don't know when he
Must have
would
been
have
from
played
Macedonia.
Yeah, Macedonia might have played Spain at some point, so that might have been where he's got that from. But if he played Spain, then he surely should have gone with Iniesta. It would have been better than playing Ramos, but whatever. It's to each their own.
Yeah. He says his favourite Peppa Pig character, because of course there was that Johnny Cam where he just started screaming Peppa Pig. So he was asked what's his favourite Peppa Pig character. He says George and Pepper. I haven't got a clue about that, so we'll move on from that. He was also asked why he likes shaking tunnels so much. So of course there's all these videos online of Gianni Alioski shaking tunnels at stadiums, especially in away games. And he said, I like it because you make all the security staff nervous and angry, which he likes, which is fascinating.
I think he's just a wind-up merchant. That is his kind of. That is who he is. So
yeah.
any opportunity to, get on people's nerves, he's going to take it. I've met plenty of people like that in life. I'm related to quite a few of them as well.
He also tried to give a logistical reason as well. He said that when he did it first time, they won, so he just continues to do that. He feels the need to do that, so that's fair enough. Keep on doing that, Alioski, if that's the case. Says, how does it feel that there's so many accounts dedicated to Gianni Cam? He says it's great. He follows a lot of them, which I do too. Fantastic. He says, how do you think your teammates would describe you? He said, they'd probably say I'm crazy, but they're wrong. I'm a lovely guy. I have a big heart. I always smile, of course. I'm a little crazy, but this is what you need in good moments. So it seems genuinely upset that people, a lot of people have been saying I wouldn't want to spend more than 20 minutes with Alioski. He seems upset by that.
Yeah, I think he seems like quite an emotional guy, which is kind of at odds of a wind-up merchant, because people who love winding people up normally aren't that emotional, because otherwise you'll just get it back. But yeah, it seems like he is fairly emotional. But I think it's just kind of a bit of personal pride. He thinks he's a good conversation, and he probably is. He probably is a good. I would definitely have a pint with Alioski.
Oh yeah, definitely.
No doubt. That would be very entertaining.
Yeah. He was also asked about last season. So there's that clip of Pontus Jansson. I think it was the game against Brentford. Or whatever, Pontus Jansson. He hugged Gianni Alioski. I think he kissed him on the cheek as well. But he turned around and Alioski just punches him, and he seems proper angry. And he basically says that Pontus Jansson hit him on the back, and it made him angry, and so he just went and punched him. Which short temper.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I looked at that incident at the time. I thought that's very weird, but but it is the kind of thing Potters used to do, though. Just randomly like pick people up or jump on top of people or hit people. Just on our team, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And obviously, these are in like emotional moments in the middle of the game, so maybe his head's not quite as normal, laugh it off kind of stance.
Yeah. He says which teammates you're closest to. He says Gaetano Bavardi, as they both speak Italian, and Pablo Hernandez, of course, they both speak Spanish as well. He was also asked about that video of him in the swimming pool screaming Kevin, which was a really weird video, and I think concerned a lot of people. But he basically said, I had watched Home Alone, and I heard it in the film when the mum shouted Kevin. And so he just couldn't stop saying it, basically, which is amazing.
It's just strange, isn't it? It's very strange.
Yeah. It says, what do you like to do outside of football? It says ping pong, tennis, good weather, and coffee, and relaxing. Which
fair enough.
It says, what's your favourite takeaway? Whitehall restaurant on Whitehall Road, which is right near the Leeds train station. I've ate there before. The food's all right. I wouldn't say it's the best, but he seems to like that. So fair enough. He says the chicken wings, fish, pasta is nice, and they also do Deliveroo. So Johnny Oscar must live around there. I'm guessing he lives in the flats above Whitehall restaurant, maybe, and maybe that's why he likes it so much.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the players kind of live near the Dark Arches, but or out in like the countryside. Those are the kind of two places they live, depending on whether they like city life or I reckon the single lads in the team or the lads without kids would probably prefer living in the city. The ones with kids and misses, and then probably like Stuart Dallas and Liam Cooper and the like will probably like living and Luke Ayling not living out in the country.
Yeah, you see a lot of Leeds United players running along the canal, the river that goes through Leeds City Centre, which a lot of people walk down, and a lot of people used to walk down on the day. You sometimes see a lot of Leeds United players down there, either doing running or cycling or just walking down there. So yeah, I think a lot of Leeds United players do live in the city centre. He was also asked about his favourite type of music. He said hip hop, Latino, and some Albanian Balkan music, which I don't know what that is. Which PlayStation games are you playing at the moment? It says FIFA. He says FUT Champions, he gets 23 wins out of 30, which is very good. I only get about 15 out of 30. So yeah, that's very good. He says, what's it like to play under Marcelo Bielsa? He said, thank you to Leeds for bringing him here and to God for bringing him here. I mean, Marcelo Bielsa's God, so he brought himself.
I would love to hear some Albanian music. I would love to. I'm very curious.
Yeah, I've seen all these pictures and videos of people like spotting Marcelo Bielsa out in Wetherby just walking about. It's quite interesting. There's a picture of him outside Wetherby Whaler, and the caption was Marcelo Bielsa seems to be really upset that Wetherby Whaler's closed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm devastated. My local fish and chip shop is shut. I haven't had fish and chips in about a month, and I'm absolutely devastated because I used to eat it about at least once a week. I used to have fish and chips.
Wow. Yeah, I am a big fan of fish and chips. I must admit. Marcelo Bielsa, though, all these pictures, he's wearing tracksuits. Like Marcelo Bielsa's a millionaire, and he looks homeless.
I mean, tracksuits don't make you homeless. I wouldn't say.
No, but like he doesn't like he just wears a plain old t-shirt, tracksuit, and the same trainers all the time.
He's not a man of material possessions. He's very single-minded. He doesn't see a point. He doesn't seem to see a point in fashion or anything like that.
Yeah.
He's purely focused on the job. I imagine the way he sees it is he's here to do a job, and the job isn't finished yet. So why would we be messing about buying clothes and going out to nice restaurants and spending money on unnecessary stuff when he can, just go around in his club-provided comfy stuff and enjoy himself?
Yeah, I mean, even when there was so last summer when the club were negotiating with Marcelo Bielsa for him to stay, a lot of people posted pictures of them, Marcelo Bielsa and Victor Orta in a restaurant in Centre Leeds, a really nice posh restaurant as well, in a meeting, and Marcelo Bielsa sat there in his tracksuits, which is just he's such a fascinating character as Marcelo Bielsa. I'd love to just have a chat with him, just sit down and have a chat with him.
No, I don't do interviews, unfortunately, mate. Not
No, he
one-to-ones.
doesn't.
Not even
Yeah.
Phil gets that honour.
Yeah, they were lucky to get it in a documentary, apparently. They were very lucky to get it. And Gianni Orlowski, he was also asked what was it like to play at Elland Road for the first time. He said it's crazy. Mentions the fans and stuff, which, yeah, you can imagine. It must be mental playing at Elland Road. I'd love to play at Elland Road, and
You
unfortunately,
say that,
I
but
couldn't do that.
if you were terrible, you would get a lot of stick, mate. So
Oh
then
yeah.
again,
No, but you had like growing up, and I was playing in Sunday league football, and you were hearing about all these football teams. These kids' football teams who in tournaments said the final will be at Elland Road, and I was just in a dreadful team, so we never got to the final, unfortunately, which I was really good about.
yeah, I just wasn't very good at football, so
Yeah.
never got to the final.
So moving on then from that very interesting Q&A with Gianni Oliorski. And of course, spoke last week about this fun Easter challenge Leeds United had set up last week where people made Leeds United based egg sculptures, I guess you could say, for a chance to win some prizes, including signed memorabilia. People entered online using the hashtag LUFC Easter Challenge, and Leeds United tweeting out many of them, and they all look good. And hopefully everyone who's listening or watching right now, hopefully you all had a fantastic Easter weekend. I certainly did. An extended weekend, 4-day weekend, which I mean, every day feels like a weekend now. I don't even know what day it is to be honest. I mean, is it a Friday? I don't know.
It's a Friday, definitely
Yeah.
a Friday.
You do lose track of days, though, don't you? So, of course, football is suspended indefinitely. There's no return date, but hopefully it does return sooner rather than later. But there have been, some return dates for football, reported, but nothing really finalised. And there are reports, though, that UEFA is considering proposals which would see the Champions League final being played on August 29th. Of course, 3 months later than the original scheduled date. Whether that happens, we'll need to wait and see. But last week we spoke about this letter that had been sent to all football clubs in the EFL by EFL chairman Rick Parry, whose plan is to finish the 2019-20 season in just 56 days, with fixtures to be played behind closed doors. In those 8 weeks, it would see all Championship and League One, League Two fixtures, including playoffs, completed. The EFL have also told all clubs not to return to training until at least the 16th of May, but I promised to give sides adequate time to prepare for returning to action. So yeah, we spoke about this last week. Of course, it's positive news. It's good that they've got a plan in place, and a reasonable plan too, as well, it seems. But this week, EFL chairman Rick Parry, he has written an open letter to fans, where he's confirmed that there's no scheduled return date because of all the uncertainty, but did reiterate that games will resume, and when they do, fans will be locked out. Which, Charles, it's quite hard to accept that games will be played behind closed doors, but it's definitely the right thing.
It's the lesser of two evils, really, when it comes down to it. I would prefer to be there in person, watching the games and obviously cheering the lads on. I do prefer behind closed doors to void in the season. Obviously a better outcome for everybody, so I could reluctantly accept it. I know it's very optimistic and it won't happen, but I would like for them to do maybe like 5 or 6 games behind closed doors, and then maybe do like the last 3 if obviously health advice permits it and the NHS permits it and the government permits it. The last 3 games would be nice to have fans back for, but if it came down to it, I would accept the final 9 being behind closed doors.
Yeah,
I would hope that the club would organise like a celebration day once all this is packed in, to celebrate the promotion. Should we get promoted? Should we get promoted?
Yeah, I love the confidence there.
Yeah, the accidental jinx.
I mean, it's inevitable for me that sports will return before crowds do return, which I guess is a good thing, really, because social distancing is the right thing. As I keep on saying, stay indoors. Yeah, I think that it is inevitable that sports will return without fans. And for me, God forbid not, but for me, I don't think live events and sporting events with fans and concerts, etc., I don't think those will come back until sometime next year. I think these restrictions will be in place for the long haul for me. So yeah, I think it's inevitable that sports will return without fans, and we'll just need to accept it, really. VFL, though, they have vowed to make every match across their leagues available to watch, whether that be on TV or via streaming services by clubs, which I guess is fantastic. Really, we can all watch the end of the season when it does happen some way or another. And Rick Parry also spoke about how important fans are, which is quite a nice change, to be honest. As fans, we don't really seem we feel as though we're not really respected by the EFL, but
Because we aren't.
no, but this
Really?
open letter to fans is quite good, though. Of course, VFL, massive changing of hands, really. In it all, a lot of people left, a lot of people have come in. It does seem to be on the right track now, VFL.
Yeah, we shall see. I don't hold that much thought for the Football League. We shall see.
But as I said, I certainly do think sports will return and be played behind closed doors for many, many months to come before fans are allowed back. And I think that restrictions will be in place until next year, when hopefully a vaccine comes out. That's just my personal opinion. Hopefully restrictions aren't in place until next year, but I think that they will until a vaccine comes out. I think that we're in lockdown. That's just my personal opinion. But obviously we'll get into that too much. But this week we've seen, especially in America just seemed to be messed up, really. But WWE, they've hit mainstream media because the state of Florida has said that professional wrestling is classed as an essential business. Now, we won't go into all that there. It's basically just, look it up if you're interested, but it's basically WWE bribing the state of Florida to let them continue. But it sparked debate about, what's essential and what's not. And I do think that in some circumstances, sport will be classed as essential. And that's why I do think sports. I do think sports will return this year in 2020. But of course, not fans. But what's your opinion, Charles? Is sport essential?
I can't remember who said this quote, and it's going to really annoy me. Obviously, the quote is that sport is the most important thing of all unimportant things, if you know what I mean. It's the most, the most essential thing of things that don't mean, that don't matter, that aren't essential. It's right up there. Obviously, it's not crucial to life. People can live without it, but it means so much to people.
Yeah.
I wouldn't class it as essential, because food, shelter, water, and health, those things are essential.
Yeah.
Spending time with your family, those things are essential. Sport is not, but it's important as hobbies and as pastimes go. It is the most important one for me.
Yeah, and I do think the state of Florida, although it's in the US, I think that them saying that pro wrestling is an essential business, I do think that that's going to be a domino effect, and I do think that more states in the US will consider sport essential, and sports without fans will happen, and then I think they'll go worldwide. And I do think that as I keep on saying, I do think sports will return without fans before fans return, and I do think I don't think live events are going to return for for fans until next year. That's just my opinion. Hopefully not, but no, I do think we're in for the long haul, but definitely sports that will return without fans, and we're just going to have to accept it, really, which is quite unfortunate. But let's move on now. Let's move on to some of your guys' questions. So, of course, each week we ask viewers and listeners to ask me and Charles questions for Charles and I to answer on the podcast as best as we can. And we've got a good one on Twitter from Johnny Chick, who asks, what are your favourite games you've seen live at Elland Road? And because I very much enjoyed last week's podcast ranking our top 5 favourite Leeds goals we've seen, I thought we'd do the same here. So what are our top 5 favourite games we've seen live at Elland Road? Charles, we'll start with you. What's number 5 for you?
Number 5 is I've got written down a list. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I've got it
Number
down
5.
as well.
Yeah, it was a 3-3 draw between Leeds and Watford in 2013, in which Matt Smith, Ross McCormack, Danny Pugh scored the goals for Leeds, and Troy Deeney and Batocchio, can never pronounce his name properly, scored the goals for Watford. And obviously Leeds went 2-0 down and then went 3-2 up, and then just Adini scored an 86th minute equaliser, which was a bit gutting at the time, but it was a really good atmosphere, and I really enjoyed the game. And I must have been, I think I was 14 at the time, but a few years ago now, anyway. But yeah, I really enjoyed that one. And I went with my dad, and it was just a really good game in a really kind of terrible era, because 2012 to kind of 2015 was just abject. So this was just quite enjoyable game.
Yeah, I mean, when you told me before we started recording the podcast that you'd picked a game from that era that wasn't against Premier League opposition, I was very surprised. I was thinking, what game stands out in that era? Because we were dreadful. I think in those seasons, we were losing 7-0 at home to some dreadful teams. I was just like, what game have you picked? But that 3-3 draw at home against Watford, yeah, I remember that, and that was a fantastic game. I was in the East Stand for that. And we were dreadful first half. And then, of course, as I said, we put it back 3-2 ahead. And I think that a load of fans ran onto the pitch at the North Stand and got dragged off by security guards. So that was quite funny. But yeah, that was fantastic. Good atmosphere. And yeah, that's a good game. That really does stick out for me. Number 5 in my list is, again, from 2013. It's 27th of January 2013. And it's the 2-1 win against Tottenham Hotspur in the FA Cup third round at Elland Road. This was a very good game. I think the South Stand that was empty apart from the upper tier, but apart from that, Elland Road was packed as it should be, against Premier League opposition, and it was just a fantastic day. It was during the day. It wasn't at a night, it was during the day, so it felt like back in the Premier League days, really, when you're just playing a Premier League team at 3:00 on a Saturday. It was one of them kind of games. The sun was shining. I think it was live on BT Sport or whatever it was back then. I think it was it Setanta Sports back then? No, I'm not too sure. I don't think BT was around in 2013. But anyway, it was on TV. And Tottenham Hotspur, they played, they brought a lot of fans and they played their full first team. Gareth Bale played in there. And Leeds United, of course, back then, we were quite average. And I think it was around 14 minutes in, Luke Varney scores to put Leeds United 1-0 up. Of Luke Varney, of all people.
Yeah, awful player.
Yeah, and that put us 1-0 up. And then the second half, McCormack, fantastic goal this, because I think it was a long ball. Byram had won it off Bale, I think, and then played a long ball forward. McCormack headed it back to Duke from the halfway line. He lofted the ball over the top to McCormack, who was all of a sudden 1-on-1 with Brad Friedel. He's on the edge of the box. The defenders come back, so McCormack cuts it back onto his left foot and then kills a beauty into the top left-hand corner. It was a fantastic goal.
Yeah, I remember the goal.
Yeah, and that put us 2-0 up. And I think Clint Dempsey, he pulled one back for Tottenham Hotspur late on. And then right at the end of the game, the referee blew the full-time whistle and Rudy Austin had just launched the ball forward because Brad Friedel had come up for a corner just beforehand. So Rudy Austin's got the ball on the halfway line. He shoots for goal. The referee blows for full time, but the ball rolls in. And we all think it's 3-1, but no, the referee had blown full time beforehand. So it was a 2-1 win. But should have counted, really. I really do think it should have.
Corrupt referees, as always.
But no, that game just stands out because we were against a good team in Spurs back then. Gareth Bale, he was a fantastic player even back then, and to play Spurs at home, and of course the last time we played Spurs at Elland Road before then was I think it was 2010, wasn't it? We beat Man United in the FA Cup, drew against Spurs in the fourth round, and then took them back for a replay. They beat us 3-1. I think Defoe scored a hat-trick in that game. But you weren't expecting much because we were dreadful. Spurs had got a good team, playing the first team, and then we just ended up beating them 2-1, which was just amazing. So that game has got number 5 for me. I really enjoyed that one. Number 4 on the list, Charles. What have you got there?
Number 4 was from April 2017. It was a 3-3 home draw against Norwich, in which Leeds United were 3-0 down at half time from Naismith and Nelson Oliveira. Oliveira got a brace, so they scored 28 minutes, 34 minutes, 45th minute, and then on the cusp of half time, just before half time, Chris Wood scored. So it was 3-1 at half time. And then obviously it was kind of it was awful because we were coming to the end of the Monk season and everyone could kind of feel it kind of falling apart and it was horrible. Yeah. and then obviously second half we come out and because we had a bit of momentum because we scored at the end of the first half, Kyle Bartley scores in the 49th minute, so it puts brings it back to 3-2, and obviously Everton gets a bit of a lift. And then Pablo Hernandez bangs in a unbelievable free kick. I think it's the second to last one he scored. Obviously got the one at Burton after this, but this one against Norwich was a fantastic strike. And yeah, back to 3-3. It was just a really good comeback. I really enjoyed it. I was in the I think I was in the East Stand for this one as well.
Yeah, I was in the cheese wedge for that game. And yeah, that game was fantastic. And it almost made my list, but the only reason it didn't was because so I went with Chris, so of course Chris Chivers, who's been on the channel before. I went with him and we were in the cheese wedge, and me and Chris, because we were 2-0 down, so me and Chris just went down and we're getting drinks and burgers and stuff. And there's no TVs when you're lining up to the bar. There's not too many TVs that you can watch the game on in the cheese wedge, which is really unfortunate. And there were no one really celebrating either in the cheese wedge. And so yeah, we went down at 2-0. We come back and it was 3-1. We're like, what has happened here? So yeah, 3-1 at halftime, and then we of course put it back. So that almost made mine, but it didn't because we missed a load of goals, which I was really, really annoyed about. But no, number 4 on my list is the game on the 18th of March 2017. It is, of course, that 2-0 win at home against Brighton and Hove Albion. That was just a fantastic game. The vlog is still up on the All Things Leeds YouTube channel. Go check that out if you haven't already. Fantastic game, and that vlog got both goals in it. So yeah, definitely watch it. But no, that was just incredible because I think we were third at the time, third in the championship table. We were high flying. We were doing great. Brighton, I think, were first. And, it was a big game. It was a big game. We weren't really expecting much, but to go out and, Chris Wood, when that goal went in, the South Stand erupted. And then, of course, we got the penalty, and Chris Wood took that away as well to make it 2-0. It was just fantastic. And, of course, there's that clip of David Stockdale, the Brighton goalkeeper at the time. He's a Leeds fan. And so when that penalty went in, he did a small celebration to himself. There's a good video of that. So
I'm sure he will deny that because otherwise the club would have fined him.
Yeah, but there is a video of him doing that, so there's definitely proof there. But no, 2-0 win, fantastic. And after that, I think it was the Easter break after that. Around that time I was on the video as well, video Yorkshire for the first time, so that was really cool for me. I interviewed Ben Parker around then as well. But that was just a really cool time. Went off into the Easter break, and then when we come back, we of course lost against Reading, ended up losing against Burton and drawing against Norwich, and just bottling the playoffs. We were third going into the Easter break, and then finished 7th. And there was like 5 games left of the season after that. So, yeah, that game was a definite high of that season.
Yeah, I remember losing away to Burton at the end of that season, and that kind of nailed it, that we were not going to finish 6th. That was horrible.
Yeah, that game against Burton, I was in Leeds United, were doing the beanback. So we were in the North Stand with the big screens. The sun was shining, so you couldn't see anything that was going on in the game because the sun was just shining straight into the big screens. And that was just an awful day where everyone left early because it was just dreadful. But yeah, that game's number 4 for me. Number 3 for you, Charles. What is it?
Number 3. You might be surprised to find this so low on the list. I've actually gone for the 3-2 comeback win at home against Blackburn because it was just, most of this game was, by our standards, awful. It was, I think Jack Harrison forced an own goal, and then I think Danny Mulgrew scored a penalty.
Charlie Mulgrew
scored the penalty, and then which I didn't really blame Peacock Farrell much for at the time. And then obviously Peacock Farrell let in that free kick in the 90th minute, which I've seen it back, and
you need to save that.
No, but Mulgrew actually dives to the free kick. If you watch it back, watch the highlights back. If anyone's watching this, watch it back. He dives for the free kick in the first place and then scores it.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah,
And then obviously we go up the other end immediately and score an equaliser, which the referee takes ages to give because there's people blocking on the line. We're not sure whether it's gone over. People in the copper are cheering, but no one's really sure whether it's gone in or not. And obviously gives the goal. Everyone gets a bit of a lift, and then it gets a free kick, gets booted in, gets cleared, it gets put back out to the wing. I think it's Hernandez crosses it to Roof, flicked header, far corner, and then everyone goes absolutely insane. Obviously, Pontus is running down the pitch; it's all going a bit mental, and it was just a fantastic game, especially because the game before we just done Aston Villa 3-2. in similar circumstances. Obviously, I reckon the Villa game. I wasn't at the Villa game. I was at the Blackburn game. The Villa game was a bit better because we came from 2-0 down in the Villa game. This was only from 2-1 down, and we played better in the Villa game as well. But this was just a fantastic atmosphere at the end of the game. Everyone was just buzzing.
Yeah, this has also made number 3 on my list as well. That 3-2 win against Blackburn. That was on the 26th of December 2018, Boxing Day. And yeah, that was fantastic because, the game beforehand, we had just beaten Aston Villa away 3-2. Fantastic comeback after being 2-0 down away at Villa, which is a hard place to go to win 3-2. Incredible. And then just 3 days later, another incredible comeback. And as you said, we were poor by our standards that season. We were really poor for the majority of the game. Of course, 2-1 down. And when you've conceded 2 goals against Blackburn, with Chalmers Grew scoring both of them, you know that you've done bad. So, 2-1 down, heading into added time, of course. And then I think Pablo Hernandez, he scored the first one in added time, didn't he? Or was it I think Kemaru scored both in added time, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, he scored both.
Yeah, scored 2 goals in added time. It was just mental. And when that winner went in, Pontus Jansson sprinting down the pitch, everyone just buzzing. So yeah, that game was fantastic. Moving on to number 2 in the list, then what have you got?
This was also last season. I appreciated a lot of these last season, but last season was the best season in my memory, I can ever remember. So apologies for this. It does make me seem like a bit of a plastic, but I was there for the shit years too. I just didn't enjoy them as much. The number 2 on the list is the 3-2 home win against Millwall in March. Purely because at the same time that Pablo scored an equaliser for us, Sheffield United also conceded against, I think it was against Reading at the time. So in the space of about 5 minutes, they went from like 3 points clear of us, and then we were ahead of them. The table fluctuated so much in about 5 minutes, and it was just a sensational win. Obviously, Luke Elland got like a diving head of it to kind of get us back into it as well. So it was just a brilliant game all round. And at the end of the game, it felt like we got it back in our hands. We'd wrestle control of the league again from Sheffield United. Obviously, we eventually bottled it against Wigan, but we'll ignore that. But that was just a fantastic game, especially because Millwall. There's always loads of goals involved in games against Millwall.
Yeah, there is.
It's just it was 3-2 again this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I think that's 7, 12. That's 17 goals in the past 3 games against Millwall at Elland Road.
Yeah, it's always an insane game because they're always massively up for it, and we are as well, to be fair, because it's just funny to see them lose and see us win. So yeah, that made number 2 on my list just because it was such a pivotal moment in what should have been the best season of my life, but wasn't in the end, sadly.
Yeah, when I was writing my list, that game didn't spring to mind, but now that you say that, it's jogged my memory a bit, and that game was fantastic. I loved that game. But I've thrown a spanner into the works here. So the question is, what are your favourite games you've seen at Elland Road? Not specifically football games, just games. So I've included a rugby league game in my list that I've seen at Elland Road.
I put a rugby game on the list.
No, I have. And number 2 on my list is a rugby league game from February 29th, 2018. And it's Leeds Rhinos 11, Melbourne Storm 4 in the World Club Challenge. So this was my first rugby league game, first Leeds Rhinos game. We were one row below the band. So it was very loud, fantastic atmosphere. And I absolutely enjoyed that night. It was such a special night that will always be in my memory. It was fantastic. I really, really did enjoy it. So, I kind of worked my way around the question there, and I put that game in because I absolutely loved that game. So that had to go in for me.
You've cheated the list there, but we'll move on.
I have. But that game number 2 for me. Number 1, I think we've got the same game here.
I think we probably have. I've gone for the 4-0 home win against West Brom in March 2019.
Yeah, 1st of March.
It was just the best atmosphere I've probably experienced in a game, other than maybe when we went 1-0 up in the second leg of the playoff semi-final against Derby. That was maybe matching it a bit. But this was just insane because we scored every 30 minutes. Every time he sort of settled down a bit, we scored again. It was probably Tyler Roberts' either second or best game in a league shirt. I mean, you could argue the whole game this season was better for him, but this was a fantastic game for him.
Yeah.
Getting assists for Bamford. Bamford got 2 goals, obviously. It was just a brilliant game. Obviously, Pablo's 16-second opener, can't forget that. That was just fantastic.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, you say it was a really good atmosphere. For me, that night, it was the worst and the best atmosphere because before the game, everyone was so nervous. It was so quiet when you're entering the stadium, and at the start of the game, it was quite quiet. But then all of a sudden, Pablo Hernandez scores after 16 seconds. Everyone's buzzing, and it ended up being a fantastic night, a memorable night, one which will always be in my memory because that was just fantastic. Because we were saying it last week because I included Pablo Hernandez's goal in my top 5 goals, and that week was just awful because on the Tuesday night we had lost 1-0 away at QPR. There's that picture of Marcelo Bielsa looking really sad, and you're thinking we bought up emotion here, and the game's coming up on the Friday night under the lights on Sky Sports against West Brom at home, and you're thinking, no, we probably don't stand a chance here, we're going to lose this, the best we can hope for is a point, and then we go out and batter them 4-0. It was just so surprising and just such a special night. An absolutely special night, Pierce. So that's got number 1 for me as well, and rightly so. I think that's going to go down in history as one of the best games Leeds United fans have seen at Elland Road.
It's going to take some beating, that it really is.
Especially in my lifetime, it's going to take a hell of a beating. Have you got any honourable mentions to put out?
I do. I've got 2 honourable mentions. I've gone for another game. I've got another game from last season. I do have another game from another season as well. So I'll go the game from last season first. I've gone
just
for
quickly.
the 2-0 home win versus Derby County, the Spygate win, just because that was fantastic, and just because the kind of pre-match kind of that kind of horrible feeling around the game, and the crowd were massively up for it, and it was just fun to slap Frank in his stupid smug face over the course of 90 minutes. Sadly, we didn't finish the season like that, but we'll leave that aside. And my other honourable mention is in November 2017. It's a 2-1 home win versus Middlesbrough, just because I really enjoyed that game. And
singing F. Gary Monk the entire game.
Yeah, I went with a mate, Newsom, my mate Newsom, who you've met. He just broken up with his girlfriend, so I took him to a Leeds game, and we were in the. I bought tickets. We were in the Cop, and it was just a fantastic game.
Very fun. Very fun.
Yeah. Obviously, I think it was Hernandez scored 1, and I think Alioski might have scored the other one. I can't really remember, but
yeah, I can't really remember either.
I think it was Alioski that scored the other one. Anyway, it was just a brilliant game because I expected us to lose. We were having an awful season, and then we just popped up and beat Borough, and it was just nice.
Yeah.
And I just really enjoyed the game.
Yeah, 2 good honourable mentions there. I have to mention that 2-0 win at home against Aston Villa at Elland Road on the 3rd of December 2016. I think this one was another fantastic game, that one, so that has to get a mention. And a few friendlies as well. We've beaten Wolves in a friendly, Newcastle in a friendly at home, so those ones have to go in as well. Those ones were fantastic. But yeah, it may spark a lot of opinion. A lot of people may disagree with our top 5, but these are from our lifetime that we've seen live at Elland Road, these games. So take it easy on us. Put in the comments, tweet us, message us your top 5 games that you've seen live at Elland Road. It'll be fantastic to hear from you guys, and so, have your opinions on this. But yeah, those are our top 5 favourite ever Leeds United games we've seen live at Elland Road. So yeah, I think those are 2 good top 5 lists there. I think we've done a good job there. But yeah, many thanks to Johnny Chick for the question there. Remember, you guys get your questions in for Charles and I to answer on the podcast. You can DM us on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. Just search All Things Leeds, and I'm sure you'll find it. Or in the comments on YouTube and Facebook, just let us know your questions there, and me and Charles will do our best to answer. But that does bring us to the end of episode 63 of the All Things Leeds podcast. Thank you, as always, to Charles Foster for joining me.
No worries, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, really appreciate you joining me again. And thanks to everyone who has watched or listened as well. We really do appreciate it. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star rating. Share the podcast around as well. Subscribe and follow Follow All Things Leeds on social media, Twitter and Instagram, All Things Leeds 1, and Facebook. We are just called All Things Leeds, and on YouTube as well. Subscribe to the channel, All Things Leeds, on there. Hopefully we have entertained you all. Hopefully these podcasts and all these videos keep on entertaining you and offer some light relief during these difficult and unprecedented times. And during these times, I do want to remind everyone, follow the advice, stay at home as much as you can to save lives and save the NHS. Just do all you can, please. But yeah, until next time, take care, stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll speak to you soon.